Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanti Nilayam. I am sorry there was a slight interruption in my presentation of this series on Shirdi Baba, as I had to be unexpectedly away for a couple of weeks. To resume where I left off, this is my 14th talk on Shirdi Baba, inspired by the immortal classic of Hemant Pant in Marathi and rendered into English by Dr. Indra Khar. Why is it that Hemant Pant undertook to write this epic? He himself has given the answer. He says, and I quote, "The Guru is like a charged monsoon cloud that happily rains eternal bliss on one and all. And is such bliss something to be stored away and hoarded? No. No, indeed. It is to be enjoyed to the heart's content and shared with others." End of quote. Incidentally, it is this same spirit that drives all of us here in the Prashanti Digital Studio and Radio Sai. We are happy when we make others happy by bringing in some way or the other the love of Bhagavan through the various channels at our disposal. Avatars have their own way of imparting lessons. I told you earlier about the man who wanted instant Brahmagyana and got a lesson on who is eligible to receive Brahmagyana and when. In today's talk, I shall present some more examples of how Baba guided his devotees. Let me start with the story of one Mr. Sathya of Bombay. Sathya was a businessman and had prospered for a while. That happened when an Englishman named Crawford was the municipal commissioner of Bombay. Lord Ree was the governor of Bombay at that time, and for some reason he became displeased with Crawford. The governor then ordered an inquiry into the administration of Crawford, and as a sequel to that, the prosperity of many businessmen began to nosedive, Sathya being one of them. By the way, there is in Bombay to this day a road named after Lord Ree and a big market named after Crawford. It's called Crawford Market. And there's in fact a railway station known as Ray Road. Sathya was shattered by the losses he had suffered and started feeling weary as well as disgust towards the world. Not surprisingly, he also began to think of God. As Hemant Pant says, quote, "When great calamities befall a man, then in utter misery he remembers God and begins to call out to him frantically all the time, pursuing him with great reverence. So long as sinful deeds continue unabated, God's name does not rise to the lips. However, once it does, then seeing his love and devotion, God brings about his meeting with a saint." End of quote. Allow me to digress for a moment to recall what Swami says in the Gita Vahini. He says, misery is a great friend and one must therefore welcome misery. On the face of it, this might sound pretty strange. However, the reason is just what Hemant Pant has explained. Misery is a friend because that is what makes us remember God, whom we otherwise forget. Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, knew this very well. Thus, once when Krishna asked Kunti what she wanted, she replied, "O Krishna, always make sure I have problems. Otherwise, I am likely to forget you." I am also reminded of a famous couplet due to Saint Kabir Das, who said that people think of God only when they are in trouble. If, however, they constantly remember God, how can trouble ever approach them? Let me now get back to the story of Sathya. Seeing him drowned in depression, many friends advised him to go to Shirdi and have the darshan of Baba. This, they said, would remove his depression. So, to Shirdi, Sathya went, and sure enough, after having Baba's darshan, he began to feel some calm. Sathya then resolved to start the regular reading of the sacred text Guru Charita, and in keeping with tradition, finished the reading in 1 week flat. That night, Baba appeared in Sathya's dream and, reading from the Guru Charitra, began to explain the meaning of that sacred text verse by verse. Suddenly Sathya woke up and realized that he had been having a dream. Was it just a dream, or did the dream have any significance and message? He consulted his friend Kaka Sahib Dikshit, who was unable to explain. Sathya then requested Dikshit to ask Baba. Seizing an opportunity, Dikshit did just that and asked, Baba, what did you want to tell Sathya through this dream? Should Sathya read the Guru Charitra one more time? What exactly is he to do? Baba replied, yes, Sathya ought to read the Guru Charitra a second time. Now, while this conversation between Kaka Dikshit and Baba was going on, Hemat Pant was pressing Baba's feet. And when Hemat Pant heard all this, he began to think, this Sathya reads this sacred text just once, and Baba comments on it. I have been reading this for 40 years, but Baba does not say anything to me. This is a typical reaction born out of unwanted comparison and maybe a subconscious feeling of jealousy. Baba, being the indweller, immediately knew what Hemat Pant was thinking, but he did not show any signs that he knew what was going on in the mind of Pant. Instead, he staged a small drama in his own way. Baba said to Hemat Pant, hey, go at once to Shama. Shama, incidentally, is the name by which Madhavrao Deshpande was popularly known. Go to Shama, sit with him for a while, and get 15 rupees as dakshina from him. You might wonder, what has this got to do with the thoughts that were going through Pant's mind at that time? We shall soon find out. So Pant went to Shama's residence, and when he arrived there, he found that Shama had just finished his bath and was dressing. Pant told Shama why he had come. To this, Shama said, that's fine, you just sit here and maybe you can eat some betel leaves which are here. Meanwhile, I shall finish my morning puja, and after that I shall sit with you for a chat. So saying, Madhavrao went inside, leaving Hemat Pant in the veranda. Hemat Pant looked around and found a copy of the sacred text Nath Bhagavat lying around. This was the book that Hemat Pant used to read every day, and picking it up, Pant casually opened it. Wonder of wonders, the book opened on the very same page where Pant had stopped inconclusively in the morning. Now, Baba used to ask devotees to read from various scriptural texts, and sometimes he himself would sit and listen. At other times, he would even comment on the stories read out. One of the books recommended by Baba was Nath Bhagavat, which Kaka Dikshit used to read most meticulously and religiously, besides sharing the stories with those around him. Getting back to Hemat Pant, that morning he was reading the Nath Bhagavat, but had laid it aside for going to the mosque and hearing stories from Baba himself. Pant now began to feel that Baba had sent him to Shama's house so that he could pick up the book again and complete the day's reading. Taking this as a signal from Baba, Hemat Pant began to read from where he had left off in the morning. Meanwhile, Shama had finished his puja and he came to talk to Pant. Pant told Shama, listen, Baba wants me to talk to you for some time and collect 15 rupees from you as dakshina. Shama heard this and replied, I can certainly talk with you, but as for dakshina, please tell Baba I have no money but will offer instead 15 namaskarams. Pant then said, okay, talk to me and maybe you could tell some elevating stories. Shama immediately ran inside, offered some flowers to the picture of Baba, came out, sat with Pant and began to tell Baba stories, which is what Pant also wanted to hear. Shama then narrated the story of a lady named Radhabai Deshmukh, mother of one Kasaba Deshmukh. This lady had heard much about Baba and came to Shirdi to have his darshan. Having seen Baba, she was then consumed by a desire to receive the blessing of mantra from Baba. Some of you might know that in the Indian tradition, it is considered a great blessing to be taught a mantra by a guru. This mantra is whispered into the right ear of the recipient, and the act is called mantropadesam. Radhabai wanted mantropadesam from Baba. Having made this firm resolve, this old lady decided to fast and stay put in Shirdi till she got what she wanted. Days passed. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and the lady was becoming weak. Madhavarao Deshpande became worried. So he went to the mosque and sat before Baba, hoping to catch his eye. Baba asked casually, "What news?" This is rather interesting because Swami too often asks precisely the same question. Emi samacharam. Getting back to Shama and Baba, Madhavara said, "Baba, this lady is very stubborn. She is very weak, looking like a stick, and if she does not eat, she is going to die. Please, you alone can do something to prevent this unfortunate thing from happening." Hearing of the determination of Radhabai, Baba sent for her and began talking to her in an extraordinary manner. He started by asking, "Mother, why do you sit so adamantly observing a fast? Why are you thinking of giving up your life in this manner?" By the way, Baba always addressed grown-up ladies as mother. Baba continued, "Mother, tell me truly, why do you inflict so much suffering on yourself? I am but a fakir who seeks alms and gets his food. I am but your son. Now listen to me while I tell you a wonderful story that would bring you much happiness." Baba then told the lady something that was part advice, and it seems, in retrospect, a glimpse into his past life. This is what Baba said. "Long ago, I was with a guru, a great saint, and an ocean of compassion. Like you are now, I too was then bent upon getting a mantra from the guru. The guru said, 'I will give you the mantra you want, but you must give me 2 pies. I did not understand the inner meaning of what the guru said and gave him 2 1-paisa coins. The guru laughed and said that this was not what he meant. The coins he wanted were faith and forbearance. These 2 virtues are like sisters and they remain together. With the armor provided by these 2 virtues, one cannot slide into sin." Baba continued, "Unwavering faith and courageous forbearance, these are the only 2 things the Guru expects from the disciple, nothing else. For 12 years I remained with the Guru. He reared me as a child till I grew up. His heart always bounded with love for me. Rare is a Guru like the one I had. Day and night I gazed lovingly into his face. I knew no hunger, no thirst. Without the Guru, the mind would go restless. Sometimes I was allowed to remain at his feet. At other times, I was beyond the seas. As the mother tortoise feeds her little ones with loving glances, so was the way of my Guru, who looked after me with loving glances. A Guru's love is enough. Mother, why do you make yourself so miserable? If the Guru I was with never whispered a mantra into my ears, how can I whisper one into your ears? You go now and eat some food. Do not put your life into danger. You look up to me with single-minded devotion, and I shall look after you likewise. My Guru never taught me anything else." When Radhabai heard all this, she was moved. She just placed her head at the lotus feet of Baba and broke her vow. This is the story that Shama narrated to Hemad Pant, and when he heard it, he too was moved. Who would not be? Hemad Pant learned then and there that if one offers faith and forbearance to the Guru, his grace is always assured. The Guru does not have to talk. His mere glance, not an ordinary glance but a loving glance, is enough. Had not Baba looked at him, Hemad Pant, so many times, so lovingly? Where then was the need to feel that Sathya of Bombay had received more grace? Jealousy has no place in the minds of devotees of Baba. The story does not quite end here. Even as Shama was finishing the story, Hemant Pant was overflowing with tears. Shama then asked Pant whether he wanted more stories. Just at that time, both of them heard the chimes of the bell in the mosque. Every day before the midday meal, devotees would assemble at Baba's feet and an elaborate puja would be performed. At the end of it, Arati would be offered, and while Bapu Sahib Jog waved the sacred flame, devotees would sing the Arati song. Even as the song was coming to a close, Shama climbed up the steps leading to the elevated platform where Baba was seated, and as he went up, Shama dragged Hemant Pant with him. Baba then asked Pant, "Give me the dakshina that I asked you to bring from Shama." Pant replied, "Baba, Shama himself is here and he has offered namaskarams instead of dakshina." Baba then wanted to know what the two discussed. Hemant Pant then described in detail everything that transpired that morning, including the story of Radhabai. Pant added, "Baba, that story moved me very much." Quite unexpectedly, Baba then said, "Tell me the whole story in detail. I too want to listen to it." Hemant Pant did just that and Baba listened most attentively. Pant added, "Baba, I discovered that each devotee has to follow his own path." Baba most kindly responded, "That is right. The path of each devotee is indeed unique. The knowledge of the Atman must come through meditation. How is it that you must meditate? Very simple. First, free yourself from desires. Next, think of all the creatures in creation. When you bring their forms to the mind, do not focus on their external forms. Instead, tell yourself that the universal and eternal Atman is in each and every one of them. Further, it is the same Atma that is in all. If this kind of meditation is difficult for you, then recall my form. Slowly go over the form in your mind's eye from head to foot, recalling all the time my attributes. Gradually, you would begin to forget yourself, the object being meditated upon, and also the act of meditation. A wonderful oneness would grip you when you experience the bliss of universal consciousness. You know about the reassuring glances that the mother tortoise showers on her young ones. Those glances bring to the baby tortoises self-rejoicing. When you meditate on me the way I have prescribed, you would experience oneness with me, even as baby tortoises become one with their mother. Meanwhile, the Arati was concluded, and as was his custom, Bapu Sahib Jog reverentially offered a piece of sugar candy to Baba. Baba gave that candy to Hemant Pant and said, "If you bear in mind what I have just told you, your state would become sweet like this candy." Now, would you not agree that this was a wonderful and most unexpected way in which Baba taught an important lesson? Shirdi Baba did this all the time. Here is another beautiful example, and this one concerns the devotee par excellence, Das Ganu. As you perhaps know, Isha Upanishad is one of the better known Upanishads, and Das Ganu started writing what might be called a translation cum commentary on that. His idea was to give a verse-by-verse translation of the Sanskrit original in Marathi and also add some explanatory remarks. The Isha Upanishad is profound and not at all easy to translate, much less to explain. No wonder Das Ganu was having problems. Somehow Das Ganu persevered and he had a manuscript ready. He placed it before scholars who claimed it. But Das Ganu still had a nagging doubt about a crucial point in the Upanishad. He brought his doubt before scholars who analyzed and debated the point at great length. But at the end of it all, Das Ganu was no wiser. He now went to Shirdi, knowing fully well that Baba alone would be able to settle the matter. What happened in Shirdi? That's a great story. Das Ganu said, "Baba, as I try to write, my pen falters as doubts cloud my mind. Please clear my doubts." Das Ganu prayed in earnest to Baba, hoping he would be given a discourse, clarifying his doubts. Instead, Baba merely said, "Be happy." That was rather like our beloved Swami. And then a bombshell followed. Baba said, What is so great about this doubt you are raising? It's really a simple matter. Go back to Bombay and visit the house of Kaka in Viliparle. His maid servant will clear your doubt in a jiffy. Now this person whom Baba referred to as Kaka was a great devotee named Bhau Sahib Dikshit. Baba, however, called him Bombaya Kaka, meaning Kaka of Bombay, or simply as Kaka. It's interesting, Swami too used to give nicknames like that in the old days. Anyway, getting back to the story of Das Gunu, he was totally taken aback by this response of Baba. Here he was having a doubt about a difficult Upanishad, and an unlettered maid servant was going to clear his doubt? What's going on, wondered poor Das Gunu. But such was his faith in Baba that he went to Bombay, went to the suburb Viliparle, and then to the house of Bhau Sahib Dikshit, wondering all the time what was going to happen and how his doubt was going to be cleared. It was late when he reached, and soon Das Gunu retired for the night. Next morning, he heard the voice of a small girl singing. Attracted by the song, Das Gunu came out and saw a young girl who was scrubbing kitchen vessels. Though engaged in drudgery, her mind was elsewhere. She was lost in the thought of a beautiful orange gold-threaded saree. The girl was obviously poor and was wearing tattered clothes, but she was full of joy and happiness. Then and there, Das Gunu realized that happiness is a state of mind. It was a matter of feeling. Das Gunu then presented a beautiful saree to the girl, who was overjoyed. She wore it, displayed it proudly to others, and danced for some time wearing the beautiful saree. After that, she went back to her old tattered clothes and resumed her work. All this made Das Gunu reflect deeply. He realized that we are deluded by external appearances. The scriptures say that is perfect, this is perfect, perfect comes from the perfect, take perfect from the perfect, and perfect alone remains. We dismiss this as abstract nonsense, but Das Gunu realized that this was not so. He became convinced that there was a divine element in the poverty of that child. The torn saree had a divine element too. The act of giving was divine, the giver was divine, the receiver was divine, and so on. The divine pervaded everything in the cosmic drama. The long and short of it was that Das Gunu realized that we are all misled by multiplicity, ascribing to it a reality which, truly speaking, does not exist. Das Gunu also recalled appropriate slokas of the Gita where Krishna declares his omnipresence and asserts he is present in all. Das Gunu further realized that Baba, who was God incarnate, may appear to be residing in Shirdi, but he could at the same time manifest in different places like Kolhapur or Sholapur or Rameswaram. Finally, Das Gunu understood why Baba had asked him to seek guidance from a mere maidservant. If he had just sat at Baba's feet and listened to some words, he might not have pondered in depth about the meaning of life. But seeing a poor girl being happy in spite of being very poor taught him that happiness is really keeping the mind immersed in God. And how does one do that? By seeing God everywhere. All of us have to reflect deeply on the extraordinary manner in which Baba taught a wonderful lesson to Das Gunu. Not merely that, we should equally reflect on what exactly our Swami means when he tells us to be happy. As he reminds us so often, happiness is union with God, and that union can come about only when we see God everywhere. Otherwise, we would think of seeing Swami only when he comes out for darshan. Yes, darshan is important, but when Swami comes out for darshan, he reveals himself as Sakara Brahman or God with form. But he is also the formless God, Nirakara Brahman, who is omnipresent, immanent in everything around us, from the sky to the tiniest ant. I think I shall stop here, leaving you to ponder on the teachings in the style of Swami in the earlier avatar in Shirdi and in the present avatar in Parthi. Thank you for listening. Jai Sai Ram.
गुरुपदी भाव विठुसी अबोला ऐशा मानवाला मोक्ष नो हे गुरुपदी भाव विठुसी अबोला ऐशा मानवाला मोक्ष नो हे मोक्ष नो हे
जग जेठी हे करू